FBI investigators scrutinized North Carolina political operative in May, but took no public action to stop all. The FBI participated in a May surveillance operation of a GOP political operative at the center of an election fraud investigation in North Carolina, newly released court documents show, raising fresh questions about how long it has taken federal prosecutors to pursue the matter. Federal and state investigators observed Leslie McCrae Dallas meeting with people he hired to collect ballots ahead of last year's primary election in North Carolina's 9th congressional district, according to state search warrants released Wednesday. At the time, Dallas was working on behalf of Republican candidate Mark Harris, who went on to beat GOP incumbent Robert Pittenger by 828 votes. Dallas also, state officials ordered a new election in the 9th District last month after concluding that Dallas orchestrated a coordinated, unlawful, and substantially resourced scheme to collect, fill out, forge and in some cases discard absentee ballots on behalf of Harris. Separately, the Wake County District Attorney's Office in Raleigh last month Dallas and 4 others on felony charges, including possession of absentee ballots and obstruction of justice. Harris has denied knowledge of the scheme. He said last month, state elections officials have said they federal prosecutors about the ballot irregularities in the 9th District during the past 2 years, but got little response. The first public sign of an active Justice Department investigation came this month, when a federal grand jury, Wake County released Wednesday in response to a request by a coalition of news organizations, including The Washington Post, show that the FBI was investigating Dallas last spring, before both the primary and general elections. In an interview, Wake County District Attorney Lauren Freeman said the FBI suspended its involvement in the probe because of that caution against taking investigative steps close to an election. The joint FBI and state surveillance took place on May 3, 2018, documents show. The 9th District, Freeman said, she was not aware of the FBI resuming its activity until after the State Board of Elections called for a new election last month. A Justice Department spokeswoman declined to comment. FBI special, in the surveillance operation described in the search warrants, state and FBI investigators jointly watched Dallas meet with individuals and conduct transactions at a CashPoints automated teller machine at a convenience store in Bladen County, North Carolina, the epicenter of the alleged fraud in the 9th District, which stretches east from Charlotte along the South Carolina border. The individuals, state investigators cited that evidence when they asked a judge in December and January to authorize several search warrants, including one that sought Dallas bank records to determine who he was paying and from what source of funding. Documents show that investigators are also seeking text messages and location data from Dallas cell phone and bank records for Patriots for Progress, a political committee affiliated with Dallas that Harris paid when he hired the operative. State election it remains unknown if the office of U.S. Attorney Robert J. Higdon Jr. of the Eastern District of North Carolina is involved in the case. The federal subpoena complicating matters is the fact that one of Harris' sons, John, has been an assistant U.S. attorney in Higdon's office since the fall, though he did not work there at the time of the surveillance in May. Last month, John Harris testified at a state elections board hearing that he had warned his father that he believed Dallas employed illegal tactics to collect absentee ballots. 3 individuals, also Wednesday, the State Board of Elections for a new election in the 9th District, including a description of all the evidence the board considered in concluding that fraud had tainted the result last year. Among the findings was expert analysis from 2 college professors who found that the proportion of absentee ballots requested but not returned was anomalously high in Bladen and Robeson, the 2 counties where Dallas worked. The analysis the board also found, contrary to claims by Republicans, that the number of absentee ballots affected by Dallas operation exceeded the 905 vote margin between Harris and McCready. and the board rebuked the Harris campaign for failing to comply with a subpoena for all communications related to Dallas and absentee ballots and promised further action. This board cannot. An attorney for Harris declined to comment. An attorney for the board could pursue an additional hearing on the lawyer's conduct or a complaint with the state bar. I think the board is signaling that it took this investigation seriously, the board's general counsel, Josh Lawson. They're trying to
Raindrop, drop top smoking, no cooking the hot pot. Fucking on your bitch, yeah, that. Looking up, open the park pot.